never been done before.
We the people tell the government what to do. It doesn't tell us. We the people are the driver. The government is the car. And we decide where it should go and by what route to do. We the people are free. And I hope we have once again reminded people that man is not free unless government is limited.
Hey, folks, what did Albanese grow our government by just before he declared the election? He had another something like 15,000 places to the bureaucracy. And apparently he's taken an entourage of 20 or so to the crowning of the new pope, or whatever you do to a pope, drown him in a font. Just a thought. And he's taken the wife-to-be. Why wouldn't you? Don't know where he's going to go. I mean, he's not leaving himself much of a place to go for the honeymoon, really, is he? She's already met royalty, been to a royal ascot, paraded around with the wives of other nations' leaders. I don't care. I'm sure you don't either. Other than the fact that the bastards are wasting more Australian taxpayers' money. We'll get onto that shortly. Andrew, you're first in the house tonight. Spazza, g'day, brother. Hope you're doing okay. Darren Bergworth was quick in too. Hope you're doing all right, buddy. Tonight we're talking crypto and all interesting things. There's a few other bits and pieces of news too. Hello, Donna. Nice to have you in. The lovely Margot, DM. G'day, Deb, Chris, and Paul. Paul Revere, that would be. Tony, you marvellous man. I hope you're doing all right. Dusty, I hope it isn't that way out your way, but I fear it might be a little dusty. Certainly it is in South Australia. I don't know if Pete from Pinnaru's in yet, but I was actually talking to him earlier today, and he was telling me about the rain they haven't had out his way. Now, Pinnaru's sort of on the border of South Australia and Victoria, on the edge of the little sandy desert, I think it is, and it's been dry. They've had 3 mils and 1 mil since October last year. So they have seen a lot of planes flying over, and it's pretty clear if you look at a map. He happens to be in an area sort of on the edge of what they call the mixing bowl for a lot of what has been sprayed into our skies. And they get the big southerlies coming up over the Bight, the Great Australian Bight, and moving up through the centre of the continent. That pushes whatever else they've sprayed up north, pushes whatever's south into whatever's north, and that's usually churning. And this is how they feed the beginnings of very large tropical systems in far north Queensland, and in fact, cyclones. I've seen them turn into cyclones. So fun. Sorry, Dusty, what are we doing here? Mr. Bill caught up. Couldn't answer Carl's questions about loans. Sorry, they say lots of holes in the info. And the American lady put up her quals, credentials, and experience, please. Yeah, well, we're going to speak a little more about that tonight. Hello, Connie. God love you. I hope you and Alan are doing well. Well, I'm not even sure if he's home at the moment, but if he is, God love him. If not, I hope he's safe. Elon knows exactly what the plans are on payments. I think you might be on the money there, J1. BS is baffling, says Mr. Bill. All right. Hello, Margie. I hope you're doing well, darling, and the Sunshine Coast treats you finely. Haven't seen Sunflower pop in yet. Hello, Marla. G'day, Mim. Nice to have you in. The Black Sheep. Oh, can I mention the Black Sheep? There he is, all the way from sweet Tasmania. Are you noticing these fine threads I'm wearing? This is a Tasmanian grade, I think it's New Zealand made, fleecy, flanny shirt. Arrived today, and I'm wearing that in honor because I figured I better wear this instead of the fleecy pajamas that he sent me, because I didn't think he'd like to see me in those. Thank you, Inez, for your comments. No, I'm not going to put the pajamas on and read something to you, just saying. But thank you for your comments. That won't mean much unless you've been reading comments in Rumble, folks. But yes, I'm not saying anymore. I'm going red just thinking about it. Hello to BMX. Thank you to Black Sheep for this and the 3 other exceptionally warm shirts. You don't get them this quality up here, I can tell you, not by a long shot. Made in Bangladesh, but imported from New Zealand. There you go. Thank you for clarification. Didn't we used to have companies that made these shirts? I mean, I want to say there was a Palaco was a great Australian shirt manufacturer, and I know that it doesn't manufacture too many shirts anymore because there is 2 radio stations in what used to be the Palaco building in Richmond in Melbourne. And I know that there's 2 radio stations in it because I used to work at them. So, yeah, the Palaco building is now, well, when I was there at least, and that's a while ago now, it was full of advertising agencies and, you know, the beautiful people doing beautiful things. We had only 1 floor at the time, but the radio station, the network may have grown significantly larger since then. But, yeah, the Palaco building. So who used to make those shirts, and why don't we anymore? There used to be a Chesty Bonds factory in Horsham from memory too, and then they closed that. It all went somewhere else. Fletcher Jones. Bloody hell, of course, Paul. Warrnambool, I think, was the home of Fletcher Jones from memory. God, you had to have a Fletcher Jones skirt if you were going to school, going to high school. Had to be a Fletcher Jones skirt. That's bringing back my childhood. Well, let's leap from my childhood into the future, and there won't be too much other than plaid in it, I've got to say, if my future relies on a digital currency. I'm going to be in all sorts of shite because to this day, as we all know, I am not terribly up to speed with the world of crypto. And I have had an awful lot of help from an awful lot of people who have tried with varying degrees of success to get some of it to sink in. The waving wonder, I must say, leads the pack when it comes to trying to educate me on crypto. And God love you, Vince, you've got the patience of Job. And there are others amongst you. But tonight, we've had a professional step in. Now, it's been a while since we've had this bloke on the show. And last time we had him on the show, I'm not completely sure. He may have hit his head and was suffering concussion. Or, I don't know, his eyes looked very red and he didn't say very much. This time round, I'm pleased to report that Galactic Larrikin Mark is looking much better and able to speak. How are you, brother?
I can speak tonight. I can. I'm good. Good to be back. Mate, hopefully one day I'll be a professional. Hopefully one day.
Oh, no. And, well, you're certainly a professional in many, many areas. I would say lawn mowing, NDIS caring or looking after support people, and probably by now changing nappies.
Yeah, I'm pretty good at that.
Don't look so happy about it, mate. Don't look so happy.
I've got good at the one-handed hold in the.
Oh, yeah, very good.
Getting that.
You can't afford a baby change table?
We've got one, but he literally it's like holding out a monkey. It's pointless. You just got to put him on the floor and do your best.
Yeah, right. Okay, he's going to be a wrestler, mate. Going to be a wrestler.
Yeah, he's wild.
So, I mean, we haven't seen each other in a while, and for those people who are a bit confused, I met you through the Galactic Larrikins, Bradford and Rob, and we've done a bit of filming together, a couple of different bits and pieces, but largely you are the silent Galactic Larrikin. But yes. When we had the show last week about QSI, you reached out to me and said, oh, listen, I see you've got a few questions, and I've got a few questions, and I've been doing crypto for, well, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself and how tonight we're going to go through not just crypto. We'll try and get a few questions about QSI that I have and Vince has, and maybe we can fight our way through it a bit, because I must say I have copped a lot of correspondence from various people. Well, when I say a lot, no, I don't want to overspeak it. It's not like I'm getting floods of emails, but I have had 3 emails and a couple of texts from different people, and it's enough for me to raise an eyebrow and say I need to learn more. So I figure let's go to the source. So please explain to us, if you will, Mark, a little bit about you and your interest in crypto and all things silver. Oh, I'm sorry. We won't talk about silver.
That's all right. Silver's good too. I like silver.
Oh, yeah. I know you do.
I guess I just got into this before everybody else did, probably like 10 years ago. Before Trump got elected, crazy story. I just ended up looking into crypto and buying Bitcoin under probably, I think it was about $800 when I was buying Bitcoin. Made a bit of money and put it into some other ones. Have made some mistakes. Have made lots of mistakes trying to make money faster. Learned that it's probably better to just sit and let the market do its thing and just hold and basically buy the right coins and let time do the heavy lifting for me. I've learned that's a good tactic. But yeah, since then I've every waking minute I try and learn about this, and I've spent a lot of time researching, and in doing that, it's pushed me into buying a hell of a lot of XRP. As much as a lot of people in the chat will probably say, don't do that. I've also invested in silver, those kinds of things. Precious metals do have their place. But yeah, at the moment, it's more. I'm just looking to accumulate as much crypto as I can for what's coming, because we all know what's coming. There's something going on, and precious metals and silver, precious metals and cryptocurrencies seem to be the way out of it. I'm not so stressed about the CBDC thing anymore. We've had Trump say that he's not interested in doing a CBDC. So we should, with any luck, as long as the United States stay the major reserve currency, which arguments would say XRP will eventually be something like that.
Well, that sort of gets us to the conversation we were having the other night, but we're getting ahead of ourselves.
Yeah,
Mr. Bill wants you to start.
Let you guys shoot questions at me, and I'll answer what I know.
So let Mr. Bill start then. What is crypto, and what's a digital asset?
Crypto is, so it's in a distributed ledger. Basically, you've now got a place instead of being able to print money and just have it go willy-nilly. Now they can track it. It's basically a placeholder in a system that it continually runs, and hopefully will be decentralized. People would argue XRP is not decentralized. It's definitely decentralized. You'd want a decentralized network so they can't manipulate it, basically, and the power comes back to the people. That's the theory of Bitcoin, though Bitcoin hasn't fulfilled what it was supposed to do. It's now become more of a store of wealth rather than a peer-to-peer exchange of wealth.
Okay.
All right. Try this as an explanation. A ledger, most people know of a ledger as a book with pages in it.
Yep.
Okay, so effectively...
That's about the point where you lose me, because only accountants like
because it's got
the books are filled with numbers,
Yeah, no, it's true. But so effectively, every block that's on the blockchain is a page, and it has a certain number of receipts of what's moved forwards and backwards between various locations. So that's
does every block have the same amount of lines on a page like a book would?
Depending on which
same amount of line space.
Yeah, it depends on which chain is being used. Some have larger pages, some have smaller pages.
Some
have smaller transactions, or a lot more transactions fill up a block space, etc. So that's it. But effectively, that ledger is supposed to be immutable. So any time that something's written to it and it's been confirmed, from that point on, it is always there for anybody to read. Right? Doesn't say you have some that it records the crypto wallet's address, not necessarily the person's name, etc., and so on, which is why they don't like it for money laundering purposes.
Yeah, there is privacy coins. People say that like Bitcoin's not private, that it is private. It's not. They can find out who you are, where you are. They can do that with all the cryptocurrencies unless they're specifically a privacy coin, like I can't remember what they're called. They've gone away basically now, I think, from a while. Monero, I think there's one called Monero that's privacy,
yep.
But yeah, basically they can find you. So if people are trying to use this, like the argument of going for money laundering, cash is just as cash is the best thing with money laundering money within the world. Like they can't. So get rid of cash. Like they're going to argue about money laundering. That's just.
Well, I think there's a very good argument to say they're trying to get cash out of the system, or make it harder and harder to access. And in fact, I've been looking at some stuff today that we're taking it. Well, we'll probably take a closer look at in the next few days with banks, in that they are now, if you want to transfer money overseas for some reason, I have a friend who's tried to transfer $5,000 to their daughter who's overseas at the moment, and they haven't been allowed to do it. They wanted to know where the money's come from, all the ins and outs of a duck's nuts, who it's going to, yada, 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 yada. And they refused.
That's a liquidity problem for the banks, but
anyway. Just need to clarify something, though, just to finish off that ledger bit. Right, the crypto or the coin that is made to run that ledger is how the processing is transmuted or put apart, right? So that's part of what a crypto coin is about. It's to help fund the ledger, it's help run the ledger, that sort of thing. It's because nothing is free, right? There's also other reasons for coins and other liquidity and other tangible assets depending on what the cryptocurrency type is. So it's complicated, but.
And the nothing is free point that you just said comes up. That's fun. It's one of the big fundamental things about how they work and about why certain coins are going to go leaps and bounds in front of other coins, because how much it costs to use that ledger. That's a huge, huge point that XRP has solved, and is why you wouldn't bother with Bitcoin, why you wouldn't bother with Ethereum, why you wouldn't bother with any of the other majors other than XRP. Because XRP, at any price, at any stage, it costs like less than 1 cent for a transaction.
Yeah, that's not the only one, though. There are others.
There are others. Well. I think XLM obviously is the same thing because it's a clone of XRP.
Yeah. And Electronium is also the same, costs very, very minimal. There's a lot that do it for a minimal cost of transfer. So playing it smart, you use those chains to transfer your money around for everyday action. And you would store your wealth in something like Bitcoin or Ethereum, etc. But the trouble is shifting the money in and out of those places costs significant amounts.
Yeah, and that's the big one of the big things that XRP is solving. They with their liquidity model, they are able to shift money. The biggest number you can think of, they can shift that from one side of the world to the other in 3 seconds for 1 cent. And they can do that at scale for everybody. So you're going to, their main thing that XRP is going to do for the world is unlock what they call Nostro-Vostro accounts. So on each side, currently, if I wanted to send Carl a couple $1,000s, I got to wait 2 days usually for it to get to him because of a bank basically needs to have insurance on one side of the transaction that I've got my 5,000, and that the other side that's giving it to Carl, that they've got the 5,000 and they're going to give it to Carl. So they have what they call Nostro-Vostro accounts. So like one Nostro and Vostro on the other side, where they're holding money, effectively locking it up, unusable money. They're holding that just for a transaction to go across. Yep. What XRP does, XRP allows it, because it's instant, it allows them to use XRP. You can put $5,000 in one side into XRP, into the blockchain. It then spits it out on the other side in whatever coin you want, whatever money you want.
Denomination-wise.
So there's no insurance needed from each side of the banks. It's the trustless system. You don't need trust. As much as you want trust in this system, you don't need it. So it's technically a trustless system because it doesn't have it. You can just trust the system in a way. You don't have to trust people.
As it sits at the moment, if we were to do that, would the $1 that you transfer out of an Australian account and say put into an American account be worth 64 cents American, or would it be worth $1 American?
Well, exchange rates. It goes in and it'll go into the exact exchange rate, so it spits out the exact amount of spending power of that asset that you transferred over on the other side. So whatever.
Because you remember, you're going to fiat currency. No, you're going to fiat currency. See, that's where you're getting caught, right? If I send,
that's the thing about the XRP ledger is you can go to fiat currency. If you want to stay in cryptocurrency, you can. If you want to go to stablecoin, Ethereum, Bitcoin, it will change it into anything. That's what these guys have solved this problem, and it is an amazing technology, and it's coming. And this literally, you can go American dollars, German francs, or whatever, like German Deutschmarks, whatever you want. This thing, if you put in whatever it on this side, it spits out whatever you want on the other side in 3 seconds. It's literally, and it works. They've currently got it in, like, it's in testnet in Palau. They're running Palau's country, their whole small country, but they've been running their economic industry for years now, and using XRP blockchain. And everyone goes in and they all use crypto. They all use the blockchain, and you can look up videos on that, on the Palau country, if people want to look that one up. That's a good one. So Japan just announced that they're using it. All the banks in Japan have all just announced that they're going to be using it to increase liquidity. So they're unlocking the Nostro Vostro account. When you unlock, so instead of having $5,000 and $5,000 on each side, imagine like countries doing trillions on each side. There's trillions of dollars that are being unlocked that people that would normally have to sit and wait for 2-3 days at a time.
Well, the banks have been able to qualify those transfers immediately, but what they do is they play the short-term money market with them, with that 2, 3, 7 day period, and then they throw all that money from every trade for the day into the pot, and just pick out what they've got to pay at the end of the day. And more often than not, they win, not lose. But we've been waiting for them to lose and lose big. Now, Mr. Bill is being a bit apoplectic in the chat. Calm down, Bill, please. He says, and I gather we're talking here about XRP. It can be sanctioned.
Well,
and I've said they can take their XRP anytime they want to.
Yeah, they can take any XRP, any cryptocurrency, but they took the gold back in the day. So,
well, yes, no, right? I disagree with that. XRP, yes, because all the servers that run the ledger and the blockchain are controlled by Ripple, right? This is part of why it's not a decentralized, because it's all owned by one company. Whereas something like Stellar, for instance, the servers that are running Stellar are independently owned by many, many different people and companies around the world. So while they can shut down Ripple and take the blockchain, they can't shut down Stellar, because if they go and take out, say, John Jones over here, who's got 20 machines, right, somewhere in Australia is another 40 machines that are still running that blockchain. So, sorry, go, Mark.
I'd also like to say that because XLM is a clone of XRP, that's exactly the same. People have that mixed up with XRP. Ripple hold 52 billion in escrow. But it's in escrow, so no one touches it. They are legally selling $1 billion every month, and what's not sold gets put back in. But the blockchain, the active XRP ledger, is decentralized, just like XLM. Me and you, Carl, we can start a node right in the next 20 minutes and run the blockchain in our home and be part of the ledger. And it's all open source. It's all open source code. So
for XLM,
that argument, if it applies to XRP, it also applies to XLM. But I would say it doesn't apply to either of them, and they're both kind of the same thing. That they're both decentralized, and they because like you look at it like this, when people are talking about the decentralization and the mining of Bitcoin and the non-mining of XLM and the non-mining of, because they're pre-mined already allocated for XRP and XLM. In the future, when Bitcoin's completely mined, is anyone going to care that it's been mined and it's just running on the blockchain? It's just that's what it's for. It's going to take a long time before Bitcoin gets mined completely, but technically into the future that's going to happen, and the blockchain will still run, Bitcoin will still run fine, and so will just like XRP will. All we're doing now is not going through the energy resource and the possible manipulation of mining. Like China's taken over Bitcoin because of the mining pools. So you can manipulate a coin with the mining because you can mine most of it and hold it. You have the most hash rating power, the most energy to mine, then you can control it. Where if it's already issued and it's issued into a place that's technically safe or at least locked up, or at least just the free market, which is technically what XRP and XLM are, despite being the locked up escrow. Everything else is on the free market, being run, just being bought and sold as is, because it's already, but there's no mining, no chasing it, trying to control it. The people that will eventually control it will, I assume, will be the American government and basically the richest people of the world, whoever's buying the most of it now and knows what it's going to do.
Yeah.
I stand corrected. Yes, you can run an XRP machine and server and ledger. So my apologies. You're correct on that.
No worries.
You just can't do anything on the Ripple. But yeah.
Got my real-time fact checker on the case tonight, Mark. You'll get nothing past him.
Well, it's more any argument that anyone wants to make for XLM. You've already made the argument for XRP.
But that works with pretty much most cryptos out there, just about every crypto.
Yeah.
So really it comes down to working with what is a good ledger, what is a good crypto, what is the use of a crypto, where is its liquidity,
now we
all
get
that
to
sort of stuff, which brings us partially into QSI. But also into people understanding that this is just a business. And what you need to do is you need to look at the business. Is it a viable business? Does it have a viable asset? Does it have a viable market? Being more the point. All right. Is there something that is of use for us to actually even invest in that company?
100%, and that's why I back both for XLM and XRP. I'm XRP, almost XRP maxi, because I think it's going to be it's going to do a little bit more. It's going to be the way it works with the banks and the Nostro Vostro, basically on-demand liquidity. It's not just tokenization that's going to take it to the next step. Where XLM, I think, I'd probably need to do a little bit more research on their model, but they're more tokenization. They are on-demand liquidity for the banks.
Well, running with the QSI side, it's a lot of tokenization, and that's a whole separate subject. But I have a question for you with XRP. Well, at least I had a question. It's now gone out of my mind. So carry on.
So can I ask something that is related then to QSI? Because my takeaway from the chat that we had with Emily and Jane was that XRP will be shut down inside the next, let's call it 3 to 5 years, and that XLM will be where everybody needs to be, or at least the XRP will not be publicly available. It will be, as you say, what's used behind the scenes, but not publicly available.
That's possible. Okay. So it's possible that it could go away, but it's not going to like not be publicly available. But that's only because I think it's going to be so expensive. It's going to get to a point where people are going to get priced out, because of its utility, the people with the money, the industry with the money, they're going to buy it all. They're going to do whatever they can to get it and hold it because for what it does. But yeah, the disappearing thing, it's definitely not disappearing, mainly because of Ripple. Because of Ripple's backing, because of Ripple, they didn't make the coin. They didn't invent XRP. They were gifted XRP by the inventor, which is David Schwartz and a couple other guys way back. There's also people are making an argument that David Schwartz is Satoshi Nakamoto as well. He's that kind of guy. But I won't go down that road. The main reason. So I'll give you this one point out. The main reason Ripple's not going away is because they've released RLUSD, which is a stable coin, and they've just acquired for $1.2 billion the Private Road, which is a prime brokerage. And they're going to run XRPL. They're going to run RLUSD.
Hang on a minute. One step back. XRPL?
Yeah, they're different. The XRPL is a stable coin, which means it'll match dollar for dollar. So one coin will be worth $1.
That's RLUSD.
Varies. Sorry?
RLUSD.
RUSD, yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah, sorry, just correcting me. I'm not always up to date with what every coin's up to. Do want to just deal on one quick function that somebody threw up in the chat. It's all digital money. You don't have anything real cash or etc. to it. True, you don't have any physical cash in your hand, but everybody wandering around with a credit card or a debit card is using digital money. So that argument is pretty much mute.
So is that what the girls were saying the other night, that if you are, walking around tapping your card, you're already using the digital system, and Stellar is backing that system? They were saying that...
I disagree with that part. I don't agree that Stellar's backing that system.
Yeah,
I feel that is a misleading statement. I haven't got proof to say that, but I feel it is.
So you just go ahead and say it anyway.
I did.
Okay. Are you going away to find that proof, or do you just like to say, I'm going to tell you some bullshit now, but at least I'm owning up to it?
It's more than it doesn't
pretty much.
It doesn't fit their model.
And it doesn't show in the ledgers.
Yeah. It just doesn't sort of make sense of how that would work. If I'd love to hear more in-depth explanations, just so I could stand corrected.
We can look it up. I mean, we can literally go into the Stellar ledgers, because remember I told you they're irrefutable. Once they're written, they're written. You can look up any of those ledgers. Now, if that was happening millions of times per second around the world, their ledgers would be right. There'd be so many blocks it'd be unreal. You should be able to look in any of those blocks and see those transactions from this wallet to that wallet for $4.92, and this wallet from that wallet for a pack of smokes, and this wallet and that wallet for a flannel t-shirt, and a new business starting, which is going to be called Carl will put you to sleep at night. But right, so I got him. I've been waiting to use that all night. But effectively, you'd be able to view that, and you'd be able to prove that. Isn't that right?
Yeah. That's one of the best things technically about the blockchain. I think is that when we get regulation, when it's not wild west, when we see proper regulation, which it seems the Trumpsters are doing their best over there in America to try and get us some kind of regulation and not just have it wild west, but people are just stealing people's money. That's when we're going to see these things kick in and it run, and people sort of the real world utility of these coins do their thing.
So, gentlemen, I have a question, because you are so deeply, both of you, knowledgeable on this subject. Let's say there is a big change. The fiat system crashes. Every fiat dollar that we have is being transferred in the banking system already into a digital account. You get to then choose where you want to distribute those assets, those what formerly known as dollars, into whatever coins or that kind of thing. And before we get to the wallet and being able to open the wallet and go and spend anything out of the wallet, for one cataclysmic reason or another, the power goes off. Where are we situated if the power goes off?
Well, this is where
silver and gold. Oh, sorry.
Yeah, silver and gold. But this is where I think we get into like sovereign coins. People think we're going to have CBDCs. The Australian dollar isn't going to go away. The US dollar isn't going to go away. They're just going to put it. They're going to tokenize it and put it on a ledger. And we're going to have Australia coin. So we're going to have the United States. We're going to have New Zealand. Every country is going to have their own coin. It's going to run on a ledger. And I don't know the laws about cash and our constitutional law about having to give us like the proper gold and silver backed I don't know. We're supposed to Federal Reserve knows the legal right, but is there not supposed to be sovereign issued cash? Is that also can we not see that a possibility that runs alongside this? I don't know.
Well, I would have thought there needs to be parity, because an ounce of gold in Australia is worth 5,400 and whatever it is dollars at the moment, $5,086 at the moment. And if you wanted to put it in US terms, it's worth $3,258.15. Now, those prices for silver and gold are immutable. They do not, well, they do change, but they are the absolute, you can be guaranteed of that money. How do I guarantee my crypto, $5,000 worth of crypto, and get it out? Or should I just have, like you say, this Australia coin broken up into maybe the Ainsley 1/10 rounds aren't such a bad idea, because a 1/10 round of gold, I'm not sure what it's worth. I can probably look it up, but that's probably 100 and something odd dollars at the moment, probably 180 odd dollars at the moment, if not more, given the price of silver. So does that mean that we are going to need to be trading in our gold, or have a gold silver option? Because when the power goes out, we're not going to have the plastic money anymore to say, I can pay cash, and I've just put X amount of fuel into my car or X amount of charge into my battery, and somebody's going to want to get paid. And the other question is,
no, they're not.
Well, yeah. And
because they're all in the same boat, because they have no power either.
Well, given what QSI girls were saying the other night, I'll still be able to walk up and tap and pay, even with no internet connection.
No.
Now,
I call.
We're talking about a quantum system. We're talking about a quantum system, remember? Yeah. So
I don't think we've got the technology for that kind of stuff at the moment. But if they're talking quantum, if it's quantum, that's on the real. That's getting
part of QSI stands for Quantum Stellar Initiative. So
I think if the power goes out, we're going to have much bigger problems than what we're buying and spending. I think, like, if everyone's power gone out, that's people are dying.
Well, it's cataclysmic.
Yeah, it's cataclysmic. Yeah. And I think
that's
the
kind of bombshell.
The thing about the blockchain is when you turn it back on, it all still works. Or if you hit one side of the world with a nuclear bomb and there's only one computer left on the other side of the world and it's got the blockchain on it, and you kick it over, it still works.
Mm-hmm.
That's the design of that. Though
that's decentralization. Yeah,
the cash answer for me, I haven't got an answer for that yet, and it is a thing that I question a lot, and I'd love to know, because cash, you can't take away someone's ability to mow a lawn for cash for $50 for grandma. Like, you can't, like, people, the plumber out there needs to be able to offer cash to somebody. Like, that's just general trade. Though, like all trading systems, trading becomes what the value is in whatever's traded, and if the people in the system value that thing that's being traded. So it may be possible that you don't have cash to pay the guy with, but you can work out something else to pay him with, and figure out a monetary value in a way, to barter system in a way which would suck. I really hope that we keep some kind of level of cash to do those things and keep that freedom, and not feel like Big Brother's watching you with everything you buy.
Yeah.
But at the moment, definitely going down this
Some would
road.
argue that's the point of digital currency, so that they can track, like you said, every coin is trackable. Nana's not going to be able to, fold you up a couple of $100 and hand it to you at Christmas anymore, and you're not going to be able to sneak a few hundred out and go playing the pokies behind your missus's back or whatever, because every bit of it is trackable. So,
and more so,
I know Australians. Yeah, sorry, Vince.
And more so, because it's programmable money, right? There can be certain limitations that can be put into that programmable money. There can be an ability to turn off the supply of it at an instant's notice because you've spent too much or whatever, and that's tracked directly to you. So there's a lot in that area. There's a lot of programmable side that can be done in that, right? And that's part of it's also on the opposite side. That's part of its utility. That's part of its ability to actually be a viable business as well. So it's a combination.
And you could argue that the banking system now is exactly that same thing. I mean, they turned off all the bankers in the Canadian protesters. They stole all their money and didn't let them. They took their Bitcoin. They shut down their bank accounts. They did everything they wanted to do over in Canada. So it's basically, if the man wants to get you, he's going to get you. It's that, and that's why I guess we're trying to get this system where we're all involved in it and we all agree on it. That it is something of value in a way. Like seashells used to be money. There was like, what is money? When you go to what is money, it's that thing that everybody agrees has value and we're going to trade. And if everyone around the world agrees that XRP, they've already agreed that Bitcoin has some kind of value, even though it doesn't technically do anything. It can't even do peer-to-peer transactions. Years ago, I was trying to send. This is how much Bitcoin is inefficient. Years ago, I was trying to send myself a couple of $100 in Bitcoin so I could do some trading, and it took 2 weeks to get to me.
Yeah,
2 weeks.
I'm glad you said years ago because it doesn't take that long today.
Yeah, but though if the blockchain became so congested, it would. And there's an argument where people are saying that like if people want to use Bitcoin in the future, they're going to just put it on the XRP ledger and run it on the XRP ledger, and it'll be more efficient, which is possible, which they can do because the XRP ledger, that's how it works. You can put anything on there, and that's why all the banks are going to use, and Australia or most countries, they're probably going to pick their ledgers, but most countries will use the XRP ledger. Because they can put Australia coin, they can put their own coin on that ledger and it runs efficiently. And not only is it running efficiently, it's making XRP more valuable because every transaction that occurs on the XRPL burns XRP. So it's a deflation. So XRP will eventually go from 100 billion coins to less and less and less and less, which it already is, less and less and less and less and less. And the scarcity factor comes in over time, which was going to drive the price up. It's deflationary.
Yep.
Okay.
So we should probably, I mean, we could do multiple shows on this, to be honest.
Yeah, I can stand on a corner with a megaphone.
Well, let's talk about liquidity and wallets, and how do you determine what is a good investment and what is not a good investment when it comes to cryptos? There's, I haven't even looked up how many. Hang on, let me look up. What's the current number of cryptos in the moment? 17,038 various coins that are out there at the moment. So some of those are really good projects and have good assets or good options for a business model, like tokenizing houses, for instance, right? So that you put a token on your house and your house is worth so much. And so that token relates to the asset. This is the important part. It's not the asset. It relates to the asset. So when we get things like, we're going to tokenize, a certain amount of this Microsoft company, but we can't prove we have any assets in the Microsoft company. What are you actually tokenizing?
All right.
Right.
I understand.
What is the asset?
Let me ask you this question. I'm building a house.
Mm-hmm.
I get my bank loan. I pick my builder. At what point is my house tokenized?
Not until you literally go to somewhere that can tokenize it for its fair value.
And it's more like that's more of a sales thing, or ownership. You could do ownership thing. So some of the property tokens out there, they've got one called Proppy, I think, at the moment, and what it does is say, so house prices in Australia at the moment are skyrocketing, and we all can't afford a house. Say I go find a house down the road, and I go, "Hey, Carl, have you got a third? Hey, Vince, have you got a third? Because I've got a third." But we all don't really trust each other, that we're all going to stay around and hang around and make sure everything's sweet for the length of time. So what we can do is we can tokenize the house, put the house on the blockchain, and give ownership, third to you, third to me, third to Vince. Or you could do millions of people owning one house, technically, on the blockchain.
So technically, the asset only becomes an asset once it's livable. Then in the house case, and I've taken possession of it.
Well, I don't know.
No, I don't know. It's valuable on its market value.
You could do that. I'm not that for me. That would be more legalese, that people work out the contract down the road of ownership of is it built and what it's done. But technically, if you all agree that you're buying this house and you all pay for it, then you're all in the contract, right?
And how would the contract with the builder be affected by any tokenization at the point of?
It wouldn't.
It wouldn't?
No, because he gets paid to do a job. Once his job is finished, it's the owners of the house, and in that case, it's us three here, right? And let's say that house was built and it cost $500,000 to build, and in 2 years' time, right, we get together and say, look, our house is now worth $1 million, right? You know, that's 175,000 each or thereabouts, right? 166,000. There we go.
Yeah.
Extra on top of. Do we want to sell it? And you might say, no, I'm going to keep it. But Mark might say, yeah. So he's going to sell his tokenized part of that house to somebody else. Right. And he can do that because he owns 1/3 of the house.
Yeah.
Right. And it is a valued known asset. Note the word known asset.
Yeah.
Right. It's the same as when Ainsley does tokenized gold or tokenized silver. Yeah. They are guaranteeing that token is for this piece of silver. You know, like they're guaranteeing their tokens to this piece of silver.
Yeah. So right, I understand that. Now, let me run this scenario past you. The three of us build that property, and we've decided that, you know, we've tokenized it for $1 million, let's say. That's prior to it being built. We've paid all the progress payments right up to the very last one, and we get a building inspection done and discover that there is a shitload of work to a point where the place practically needs to be torn down and started again because the builder has done some shithouse and shiesty work in places where they shouldn't. He has been paid, presumably, based off the money that we got off the loan, which was tokenized or digitized or done whateverized, and is trackable, so we know exactly where it is. And I assume it can be reclaimed, as people are saying.
Well, in that instance, that specific instance, I'd say you made a bad investment. You've got a shit builder, a shit everything. You didn't do the right work, and you bought a bad house. And even though you tokenized a shit thing, and it's not
but he built it. We tokenized it. We tokenized it before he built it.
Three of you now have tokenized shit. Yeah,
So,
but my point is, we tokenized it before it was built.
You'd have to go through the legal system.
That's
to try and claim that money back from him. But you can't just go into the ledger and say, "Oh, I didn't agree with that. Grab and take it away." Remember, I said the ledger is immutable.
Yeah.
right? Once that transaction is cemented, it's in there.
And
The only
it's
way to
just a
get it
record.
back would be for him to pay you the money back.
Yeah. The value of the house isn't on the ledger. The ledger is just tracking the house.
Yeah.
And who owns it and where all, if sold, where the
we
money.
We have 1/3 of a token. We have a token each. So there's 3 tokens that are attached to that house, right? Now, as that value of that house goes up in the real world, so does the value on our token. Because when we sell that token, we're going to sell it in real world cash.
Yeah.
Right? So if I sold that token to Mark, he's going to have 2/3 and he's going to give me, $666,000. Well, actually, he wouldn't give me 333,000. Sorry, I did my maths. But then he has 2 tokens. You have 1 token. But the house, the asset, is still increasing in value.
But then Mark says he wants to move in his family and 3 really close friends who've been living on the street. And look, Carl, there's no room for the bus in the backyard anymore. I'm going to give you next to nothing for your last share in the house, or I'm just going to make your life hell living here.
Well, this is where
you sell it to somebody else.
Well, this is also where I think within the tokenization of it, you can write in laws. I would say within rules. You probably have house rules for the house. Just like you can write in when you sell it that they're saying that when you sell them or do any kind of transactional thing with it, so you don't have to worry about the paperwork. It basically will do it all for you. Send money where you need it to be sent. To allocated accounts and things like that, just basically so it's ease of use. Where that's what with these tokens, like the property tokens and things like that, though extremely they are good utility. I don't know exactly where the driving price for the token itself would come from. It's going to be interesting to see where they say these tokens are worth value because of this. Because I don't know where they're going to get their value from.
Well, it'd be the same as any other ledger type thing. You're going to burn a certain amount of tokens to use the ledger, but your piece of paper that is your asset for the house, let's say it's the deed, right? And the contract goes up onto the ledger, so it's recorded. So while we each have a token, it's really the token that points to the piece of paper or the deed, and the contract on how it's actually recorded is all stored on that blockchain, right? And you pay a certain amount for the token to make it storable on that blockchain. That's where that token there's 2 tokens in play here. There's one that's actual linked to the asset, and there's one that works the blockchain. Does that make sense?
Yeah,
right. Sure. And you'll see that's why Stellar, XLM, etc. You will buy something with XLM and you will get a token in replacement for it, right? But you also spend a small amount of XLM to make that purchase. All right. And this is where we get back to the QSI thing. And one of the questions I have on the QSI, is it illegal? No. Are people out there being ripped off? Quite possibly not. It all comes down to the asset that they say that you're buying with your XLM. You buy, let's say, VMP, right? You're buying an asset of VMP, which is my business, which I've determined has 2 million share type things that people can have, right? Now, do people know that I have those 2 million share type things? Do I have the legitimate assets there for those 2 million? Or am I just being a bullshit artist? Right? The only way to find out is wait until that asset that I bought that you guys bought for 1/1,000,000 of a cent, right, to become worth more than 1/1,000,000 of a cent. So as long as you hold on to that asset, have you lost money? No. Have you gained money? No. The only time that you would lose money is when you find out that I never had those assets in the first place, and you bought a millionth of a cent of nothing, right? So it comes down to, are the assets legit, right? When you're buying something, is it legit? How do you prove it's legit? And with some of the cases I looked up and some of the playing I did, I couldn't find any record of those supposed assets that they're supposedly the white hats were grabbing from these supposed companies. There was zero proof they existed, but there's also zero proof that they don't. So hence, can it be illegal? No. But is it probably illegal? Yes. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it's a big statement, but
yes. I think I tried to explain that somewhat. So that's why I'm concerned. I mean, there's nothing wrong with XRP or XLM. I mean, I've got some XRP, and I bought a nice little meme coin on there called Phoenix. So I've got a few of them. Phoenix as well. And XLM. I bought lots of XLM as well because I knew the price would go up on those. They are legit currencies. They have a legit asset. They have a legit business. They are proving themselves day after day after day. But going into these supposed assets that are coming from QSI or were coming, I can't say about now. I have to say about when I investigated. I couldn't prove those shares or those assets even existed.
I can't do white hat talk when it comes to crypto. There's so much going on in the market and so much going on around the world that's tangible, that you can really see what's going on and who's behind it, that you don't need to sort of go worrying about the white hats of, because if you can't prove it especially with this kind of stuff, you're going to lose your money. It's fine. The people out there want it.
What wants to know, what are the counterparty risks?
Well, you could instead you could go and spend your $100 and get 2 million shares and get nothing, or you could actually not spend your $200 and miss out on 2 million shares and miss out on being a millionaire. So that's the counter risk. It's a risk.
Well, the biggest, it's the best hedge against inflation. Over the last 10 years, anybody that's put money into almost any coin and just let it sit there for the cycle, they've way outpaced inflation. They've got way.
I can see I've lost a lot.
I'm sorry to hear that. I'm very sorry to hear that. I've definitely outpaced it. I'm going okay. But yeah.
So we're all going to Mark for a loan, okay?
Hopefully one day. I'll be using the XRP liquidity pools to make more XRP. That's the plan.
It's the way it's meant to work, isn't it? All right. Well, I've found this chat very enlightening, and I've learned a great deal from it. I'd like to thank you both, and I would urge you both to consider doing this on FBN, maybe starting your own once-a-week chat.
That's a great idea.
Because you are so both deeply into this, and I like the way that you're fact-checking each other. It sort of all works out well. And I like the way that you put Vince out early, Mark. I think that's even better. So
you did a good job. You did a great job.
Yeah,
we could ask.
So maybe that's something we can look at putting together.
Sorry, I'm talking over you, Carl, because I'm being an arsehole.
You do.
Yeah. I've known you for too long. Would people like us to do that? Would you like to see me and Mark get on and just have a chin wag about cryptos? And I'd love to learn more about the new business that you were talking about for an Australian supplier here for a wallet. And we didn't even discuss wallets. Yeah. That's a whole different kettle of fish.
We got a lot to come to,
So,
all right. Well, I think I'll put the two of you together, and
that'd be great.
We'll look forward to something further on FBN on a much more regular basis. For those of you who don't know what FBN is, it's the Freedom Broadcasting Network channel on YouTube. We've got a Rumble one as well. FBN Media, I think, is what you will find if you search FBN Media. And Vince has a very good interview that he had with Tim Dwyer, was put up last week. You may have seen it. It's had quite a few views now. Don't forget to like and subscribe this channel, but certainly go and like and subscribe to FBN. And our whole plan is to get more content up. Vince is going to show his interview skills off and hone those as we get more and more of them lined up. And of course, there are others that you're speaking to behind the scenes as well. There may be a bit more content popping up in the not too distant future too. So I'd really like to see this sort of thing happening there, mate. And I think you guys could do very well.
Yeah, I have to apologise for a lot of those people. I've been very slack in trying to get the website side of it done, and that's what's been holding me up. But generally speaking, the idea is that we'll get a few more truthers on there. We'll get some things like this crypto show. Well, I don't know what we're going to call it. We'll have to discuss that. And anything's from, it could be gardening, it could be, latest news, it could be conspiracy theories, it could be anything. But and even just people's stories, right? Real Talk with Vince is going to be about stories and busting myths about things like smart meters, right? What can a smart meter do and not do, that sort of thing. So, but please remember that the birth of FBN came from the voice of freedom. So this is the channel that you need to be on to find out all of the really good goss, and if necessary, the pillow that you can put your head down to so that Carl can talk you to sleep. But with his flannelette pajamas on. But please remember, right, that for him to do this, he needs to survive. All right. So we have a little ad that he might remember to play about this. But please like, subscribe, donate at vofhq.com, right? And even come get a subscription or buy a hoodie. I mean, I just placed the orders for the hoodies and a gold Australia Landed the Fee t-shirt for Carl this week. So they should be coming through hopefully by the end of the week. And we can go forward from there. And if you want, drop some suggestions as to what you would like to see in the merch. Because while we can do 45 million t-shirts, it would be nice if we had some other stuff.
Yeah. I don't know. Stubby holders are always good in Australia, I thought. And they're light. You can send them overseas really cheaply. So something uniquely Australian. So I don't know, a strangled kangaroo from a burnt gum tree. Something. I'm sorry, that's getting a bit graphic. Gentlemen, thank you very much for coming on. There was something I was going to say, and I know I've completely forgotten it. And it was going to be very important, but not to worry, it's gone. Thank you for coming on. We'll let the folks know when you're going to get back together, either on here or on FBN. I was going to mention, seeing you were plugging everything, a friend of mine, another professional radio person, who is, I would have to say, one of Australia's best producers, has reached out to me and wants to work with me on getting your stories together. Now, there'd be a few different levels of this sort of thing, but if you want to have a bit of a chat with me and tell your life story, your horror story, your COVID story, your whatever story, if you've got an uplifting story, if you've got a secret you want to keep, if you want us to record something for you and keep it in a vault that only becomes accessible on your passing, and we will pass that recording on to the family, then we can help you out with that. And we can do it all pretty cheaply. So keep watching the website. We're going to put a page up. And this has been something a lot of people have utilized in the past. Dennis and I have done this previously, and I'll have him on the show for a chat. It's amazing the kind of secrets that people keep until their grave, and they want to unburden themselves of it prior to going to the grave. And we won't tell anybody. It's all a completely confidential service, and you get to control access to the crypt. So we'll see how it goes. And if you have a story that you would like to share with the rest of the country, then by all means we will do that too. Very happy to share that. So I think we could have a bit of fun with that going forward. So email me, carl@vofhq.com. But
understand, this is not a free service.
This
is a working business proposition.
But it will not be a very expensive service either, put it that way. And
only a Bitcoin.
And considering that, Bitcoin, that'd be nice. And considering there have been of late quite a number of requests for me to read things for people, or requesting that I read certain things for people. Thank you to the lady who sent through what must have been 15 or so pages of what I consider to be a soft porn novel. I mean, I really love your style, lady. You made me blush, put it that way, with the things that you said. But I don't know. I didn't see that you attached a fee on the end of it anywhere. Just 15 pages and some breathless panting and a little bit of what looked to be saliva hanging off your email. If you want to send money, hey, it's not OnlyFans, but I'll read something for you if you get really. I don't know. What's the word? Really?
Yeah. You can be guaranteed it won't be given to me to read. So you'll be good. The professional will do it.
We can see
He'll put you to sleep. He'll put you to sleep.
Well, yeah. Look, if you want to go to sleep with me in your ears every night, then hey, I might be able to help you. And something you both don't know, I've actually been writing a book in the background. So I've been thinking, because there's no money in books, but there's no point in just giving it away. So I'm a bit stuck now at what to do with the book. So I thought maybe what I should do is turn the book into an audio book, and then maybe I could offer that as some sort of thing.
Yep, Amazon. Amazon. There's still people buy books off Amazon all the time.
Well, I don't think this one's going to set people back too many dollars, put it that way.
You don't need to. A couple of bucks, it all helps.
Yes, well, that's very true. So thank you for the people who've sent in ideas like that, and thank you for the people who've sent in the ideas about my physicality. I'm afraid some of your suggestions, I am just not capable of bending into that position to insert my head in that particular orifice. It's just, I can't. I'm sorry. Mark, thank you very much. Been a pleasure.
Thanks for having me, Carl. It's great to be here.
Cheers, brother. Talk soon. And the Waving Wonder, you know what you got to do. Love you, brother. And you folks, thank you very much for coming out again on what might be a fairly chilly part of the night where you are. But thanks to my new flanny, I am quite warm indeed. Have yourself a wonderful night. Look after yourselves tomorrow. Now, tomorrow evening might be a bit of a stretch for me. I do have a microphone capable of working from the phone in the car, but I fear that it will be pitch black by the time I get to do a show by that stage. So I have a dental appointment tomorrow afternoon, which I'm a nervous dental attendee. I'm a very nervous dental attendee. So at this stage, I have a dental appointment tomorrow afternoon, and I do know I require a bit of work in certainly one tooth and probably 3 or 4 others, but that won't be happening. They're just going to have a look tomorrow where I can scare the shit out of them, and then they can equally terrify me with the cost of how much it's going to cost to get it fixed. But I'll be doing that, and then I have a little bit of training I need to go to tomorrow evening, and I'm looking forward to doing that. But that'll mean that I'm not going to be back here by 6:30. There might be a show later in the evening, but I doubt it. If not, I will try very hard for one Thursday morning. There is a few things happening in the background that I do want to bring you up to speed with. There'll probably be more on that tomorrow. So thank you very much for your attendance tonight. Be safe if you're out there on the roads. And if you are chatting away in our family chat room there, thank you so much for being part of our family. I was speaking to some people, and this is a number of conversations that I've had with separate people who have all brought up their admiration for the family that we have in the chat here. And I think that family is in large part a warm, welcoming group led by our moderators, Sunflower, Michelle, and Aussie Sue, and Vince trailing around in the background. We have a wonderful group of people in our chat, and it gets noticed, folks. Can I just say, there are so many people that watch this show that do not comment or are watching on a feed that doesn't allow their comment to pop up in our live feed. And they don't care to find that one or whatever. But we do see a lot of comments, and I do get a lot of direct emails. And in particular, today and yesterday, I've had half a dozen or more conversations with completely different people who've just happened to watch the show over the last however little long while, and they feel like they're part of the family and they're not even contributing to it. But to a man and woman, all of them are just blown away that we are such a supportive group, a wonderful supportive group of each other, and that we can have these wonderful learning conversations, maybe what I'm talking about, but quite often it's what you're talking about in that chat. So I just wanted you to know how important you are to the Voice of Freedom, because this is the kind of family, this is the kind of community I'm very proud to be associated with. And I'm not leading it. You guys lead it. You are this community. I just happen to be the voice, and I'm very happy to be yours if you're happy to pay me. Watch out for the dickheads on the road, folks. God love you.
You let one ant stand up to us, then they all might stand up. Those puny little ants outnumber us 100 to 1. And if they ever figure that out, there goes our way of life. It's not about food. It's about keeping those ants in line. That's why we're going back. Does anybody else want to stay? Let's rock!